A locked drawer is an ordinary thing. Wood, metal, a small key that goes missing. It sits quietly beneath desks, inside cabinets, under beds, holding nothing visible, asking nothing aloud. Yet some drawers grow heavy with time, not from what they contain, but from what was hidden away too carefully. Unspoken thoughts, deferred decisions, emotional leftovers. This is not the story of what is inside a drawer. It is the story of what was placed there, because it felt unsafe to keep it anywhere else. It is familiar. It has always been there. And yet, it is rarely opened. The locked drawer exists at the edge of awareness. It does not interrupt life. It does not demand attention. It remains beneath the surface of daily movement, quietly sealed, quietly present. Hands pass over it without touching. Eyes avoid lingering. The mind remembers it only when something feels unfinished. Psychologically, the drawer functions as a background object, something known but not engaged with. Its presence offers a strange comfort. Closed means controlled. Locked means contained. Whatever rests inside cannot escape into the room, into the day, into the self. People often forget when it was locked. The moment disappears into routine. One day it was open, cluttered with ordinary things. Another day, it was closed, the key tucked away. The transition felt small, necessary, sensible. The drawer becomes a symbol of emotional order, a place where overwhelming thoughts can be placed temporarily, where difficult memories are stored until there is time, where feelings that do not fit the moment are told to wait. Yet the body remembers what the mind avoids. Standing near the drawer produces a subtle tightening, a quiet alertness, the sense that something unresolved is nearby. The drawer does not move. It does not change, but it is not neutral. It carries the weight of restraint, the emotional decision to keep something out of sight. This is where recognition begins, not with fear, not with pain, but with the awareness that something ordinary has been silently carrying more than it appears. Nothing enters a drawer by accident. It was placed there for a reason, often a protective one. The drawer became locked at a moment when openness felt unsafe, perhaps not dangerous, but emotionally inconvenient. A thought that disrupted routine, a memory that asked for space, a feeling that threatened to slow life down. Human psychology favors continuation. When life must keep moving, containment becomes survival. The drawer offered an immediate solution. Place it there, close it, return later. What went inside was rarely dramatic, not always trauma in the cinematic sense. More often, it was accumulation, small disappointments, unanswered questions, words never spoken at the right time, emotions that arrived without permission. The drawer absorbed repetition. Each time something felt too much, it was added. Each time vulnerability felt risky, it was deferred. Over time, the drawer stopped being storage and became separation. Locking it was not avoidance. It was care once, a way to stay functional, to protect relationships, to maintain identity. The key represented choice. This will be handled later, when there is capacity. But later has a way of becoming permanent. The drawer now holds a version of the self that was postponed. Not rejected, just delayed. And delay, over time, transforms into silence. The origin of the drawer's weight lies not in neglect, but in necessity. It was locked during moments when there was no room to feel fully. The mind did what it could. The drawer agreed to hold the rest. Nothing enters a drawer by accident. It was placed there for a reason, often a protective one. The drawer became locked at a moment when openness felt unsafe. Perhaps not dangerous, but emotionally inconvenient. A thought that disrupted routine, a memory that asked for space, a feeling that threatened to slow life down. Human psychology favors continuation. When life must keep moving, containment becomes survival. The drawer offered an immediate solution. Place it there, close it, return later. What went inside was rarely dramatic, not always trauma in the cinematic sense. More often, it was accumulation, small disappointments, unanswered questions, words never spoken at the right time, emotions that arrived without permission. The drawer absorbed repetition. Each time something felt too much, it was added. Each time vulnerability felt risky, it was deferred. Over time, the drawer stopped being storage and became separation. Locking it was not avoidance. It was care once, a way to stay functional, to protect relationships, to maintain identity. The key represented choice. This will be handled later, when there is capacity. But later has a way of becoming permanent. The drawer now holds a version of the self that was postponed. Not rejected, just delayed. And delay, over time, transforms into silence. The origin of the drawer's weight lies not in neglect, but in necessity. It was locked during moments when there was no room to feel fully. The mind did what it could. The drawer agreed to hold a rest. It is easier not to notice. Easier to live above the drawer than beside it. People rarely avoid the drawer because of what is inside. They avoid it because opening it disrupts continuity. The drawer represents interruption, the pause that daily life resists. Avoidance is not fear-based here. It is efficiency-based. Life requires momentum. Reflection slows things down. The drawer asks for stillness. There is also identity at stake. Opening the drawer risks encountering a version of the self that does not align with the present image. Feelings that contradict strength. Thoughts that complicate clarity. Needs that were once inconvenient. So the drawer remains closed, not out of denial, but out of maintenance. It allows a consistent self to exist. Yet the cost is subtle fragmentation. A quiet sense that something remains unfinished. That emotional energy is being used to keep the drawer closed rather than to live freely. Resistance appears as indifference, as forgetting where the key is, as reorganizing everything around the drawer instead of addressing it. These behaviors protect stability, but they also prolong separation. The drawer waits. It does not escalate. It does not demand. This patience makes it easier to ignore and harder to resolve. Avoidance becomes a relationship, one built on distance, mutual silence, and the agreement not to disturb what has been contained. Awareness arrives quietly, not as urgency, but as honesty. At some point, the drawer is noticed again, not because of crisis, but because the energy required to ignore it becomes noticeable. The presence of the drawer feels heavier than its contents. This is not a moment of opening. It is a moment of acknowledgement. The realization is simple. Something was placed here because it mattered, and it still matters. Not because it is unresolved, but because it was once lived. This awareness does not force action. It allows coexistence. The drawer no longer represents danger. It represents history. Emotional material that was handled the only way it could be at the time. Recognition softens the relationship. The drawer is no longer an enemy of progress. It becomes a record of survival. This is where psychology shifts, not toward healing yet, but toward integration. The self expands slightly to include what was once set aside. The drawer remains closed, but it is no longer invisible. Nothing needs to be emptied. Nothing needs to be fixed. The drawer can remain. Healing, in this context, is not opening the drawer and confronting everything inside. It is accepting its presence without tension. The drawer can stay locked. The key can remain where it is. What changes is the relationship. The drawer is acknowledged as part of the environment, no longer avoided, no longer charged. This acceptance reduces internal friction. Emotional energy returns from guarding to living. The drawer no longer defines what is hidden. It simply exists as a reminder of emotional intelligence exercised under pressure. Integration means allowing the past to be stored without being erased, allowing silence without repression, allowing containment without denial. The drawer remains an object, wood, metal, still, but now it is understood, and sometimes understanding is enough. The drawer stays where it always was, quiet, closed, no longer heavy with avoidance, just holding what once needed somewhere safe to rest.